righty.
Okay, well, are we rolling?
Yeah.
Oh, we're rolling. Okay. Well, hi, folks. Welcome to
Wholehearted Living with Valerie
and Bennie.
We are here to chat with you guys about wholehearted living. We are siblings who most of the time bring one topic that the other person has nothing or no idea what we're going to chat about.
Yeah, that's right.
And
but it's not always like that. But
No.
But today's your day.
It is. Last week we had mom.
No. We'll edit that out. Next week we're having mom.
Oh, you're going to flop it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Iggy, more work.
We're reversing it.
Yeah.
Oh, see?
Oh, yeah, because she's always like next.
I mean, it may not have to
I
be
guess
that
it
way if
doesn't
it's
matter.
easier for him. So never mind this whole conversation, people, if you're listening to it.
Yeah. So you may have heard from my mom or you will hear from my mom.
Yes.
Either way.
But
What was I going to say? Iggy, by the way, thank you
Hello.
for keeping us in sound.
yes, and editing all of our mistakes.
Yeah. If you hear any
Most of the
mistakes.
time I keep them in.
Yeah. It's half of the fun.
sorry.
What was I going to say? We have to have an anecdote. A
Okay.
story. So tell us about your house.
Well, that's going to be part of my conversation.
Oh, well, then never mind. So what I can tell you is our neighbors are moving and it's
This
very
one?
sad. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they've been here since we moved in. And the long and the short of it is that he owned a house and his ex-wife lived in it for a while, and then she moved, and then he decided to just totally remodel the whole thing. Like literally, I think it was one of those things where it was like one wall sticking up so they didn't have to pay the taxes, but otherwise it's like started over. And 2 stories, like they made it 2 stories this time, and it's massive in the
Where?
whole thing in Culver City.
Okay.
And he anyway, they were planning on moving either in December. By the way, if you're listening, this is April. But they were planning on moving in December or latest January. Well, what happened was it obviously didn't work out to move in December. So January they were supposed to move out. And it was all planned. It was all ready to go. The fires happened.
Oh, right.
So the only thing they needed to wait for was electrical hookup, and they couldn't get it because all the electrical people are working on the fires and working on that stuff
Oh my
and doing that.
gosh.
And so they only recently got it hooked up.
Okay.
And so now, and then what they decided to do, so it makes it even worse for us, is like we're not really seeing them move because they actually decided to refurnish the whole place. So they bought all new furniture. So they're done. They just have to grab their clothes and leave.
Oh, my gosh.
So it's like they're not, it's
well,
not like.
somebody has to take the furniture out.
No, I know, but my point is that we didn't have, normally you see
Help 'em
people move and you do
you're, like,
stuff and you whatever.
loading the truck.
Yeah. And so you kind of you get this mindset of goodbye. Well, they just said, no, we're done. We're leaving.
Wow.
And so it's like, that's it. And I just noticed when I went and saw all 3 cars are gone. All the cars are
Oh, so
gone.
they're gone.
So I'm sure they're going to be back and forth because I don't think they've gotten everything, but I do think that they're staying the night there now. I think they're going to be visiting here until they're
So they'll probably
out,
put
until
that
they're
place up for
officially out.
sale or rent it or
They
something?
decided to rent.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, that's always...
fun. Well, that's another thing. So besides the fact that we're losing neighbors that we've enjoyed and it's just been fun, and I'm not going to say we hang out, but we definitely have hung out and, had drinks together and just watched games together and did different things together like that. Patty's gone. When I was in school, Patty went to her sister's pool with them and that kind of stuff. They watched our dog a couple times when we traveled. And we watched their dogs. And so anyway, it was, and so it's weird not only to think that they're not going to be there, but then to think somebody else is going to be there. So that's also weird. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That is
so
sad,
that's a
though.
little bit of a sad thing.
Yeah. That is.
But other than that, life is good. Did I already tell you that I filled out now? I mean, I know you guys are sick of it, and I told you would be sick of it. You would be sick of it. So it is what it is. But I filled out all the paperwork and everything is submitted. So everything is done. I think the last time I talked to you guys, it was like in process, but now it's like the Board of Behavioral Services actually has it for California. And so now they just have to approve it. And every Wednesday on Facebook, they say these particular ones are done. And so if my calculations are correct, because I think it depends on how many people submit. So I don't think it's just like every 2 weeks it happens.
Yeah, they
it's
have to go. They just take a percentage every week to do it.
Because they don't know how many people are going to submit. And so then they literally just say, if you submitted by or before X date, then yours is going to be approved. You're going to find out this week.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the averages are about right, if it stays about the same, I could find out at best scenario this coming Wednesday. But then it would probably be more likely to be in 2 weeks, 2 Wednesdays.
So they just announce it on Facebook? They don't tell you?
No. That's just telling us that ours has been processed. Then I'll get an official word in email. So
Okay.
I'll get an official word saying you either need to fix something or saying, okay, here's your associate's number. Okay. And associate's number means, okay, now I'm officially an associate therapist. So,
I gotcha.
So I'm still doing the work. It really doesn't change a whole. I mean, I'll get a bump financially, but it doesn't change my day to day. It's like nothing really changes. So, but it will change the fact that I'm official. So that's very nice. Yeah.
That's why you went to school, to be official.
Yeah. So exactly. So I'm still what's called an associate therapist, which means that I'm supervised. And then after I get all my hours, which is like 3,000 hours, usually takes a couple of years, then you could apply for licensure. And I'm actually quite scared of that, because I'm not worried about the 3,000 hours. I'll get that. I'm worried about the fact that you have to take a test. I think I told you guys this. Everybody in the country takes a test, and they take it immediately after school. Now that's a pressure. Don't get me wrong. That's a pressure.
Oh
that
yeah,
I don't
you're
want.
right. And you wait until
but like from my perspective, it's like, yes, it's a pressure, but you're
it's
in
all
school
fresh,
mode.
Yeah,
you're in that mode. So why not? And we have to wait until when we apply for licensure is when you take the test.
Yeah.
So it's like that
is a
sucks.
bummer.
Yeah. So those are the things that we're living with.
It's funny that you said that, because I was talking to Kylie about getting her esthetician license, and they take the test after school is over, right? To get your license. But I was talking to her something about, doing something with my face, or like having her massage. I forgot what it was exactly, but, she goes, oh, I'm not sure. I go, you did this on the dummy for your license. So do that to me. She goes, I don't remember anything I did. She goes, if I had to take the test today, I don't know if I would pass it.
Oh, I know. And that's what everybody says. It's so funny, because most people say, once you take the test, well, California is different because there's a national test too. And I could take that test, but it doesn't help me in California. So why? But although I have thought about it, because my dream is, to be honest with you, I would love to be licensed in like New York. Or anywhere in the East Coast. Anywhere in the East Coast, I would love to be licensed there, because if I was licensed there and I could like have an official location, which you just do that however you do that, then I could actually see clients in California that live over there. And what's great about that is everybody wants night appointments. So then they could have a 7:00 appointment, which is 4:00 for me.
Yeah.
And so there's a huge, I wouldn't mind being licensed.
Yeah, that would be great.
The
time change would work for you.
For me, because then they get night appointments. We actually have a guy who lives in Connecticut. That doesn't make any sense. That means when he does a 7:00 appointment, it's 10:00 at night for him. I'd be dead.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be any good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be a great listener because I'd be asleep. So, but that would be it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to bigger and better things.
Okay.
Just kidding. No,
you're not.
I know I'm not. Okay.
It's a podcast. You have to use
words.
I
know. We've talked about this before, and I'm going to bring this up because if you listen to the podcast, I don't know if it was it last week or a couple weeks ago, where we talked about me getting buying a mobile home.
Yeah. I don't remember. But
it was a couple podcasts ago that we talked about this. And everything was running along swimmingly until it wasn't.
Uh-oh.
And yesterday was actually the breakdown of many things all at once.
Oh,
and
shoot.
it just reminded me that because I started getting very frustrated, I started talking to the financial guy that's like the liaison with the bank or whatever.
Mortgage lender?
Yeah, I started talking
yeah.
to him very, not in my character, like out of character for my, you know, I was very stern. I was very, and part of me was like, oh my gosh, why am I talking like this? I mean, I wasn't mean by any means, but I wasn't my nicety person. And I was very frank with him. I just said, I'm very frustrated right now. I feel like all of a sudden it's just bam, you're hit with this, bam, you're hit with that, you know? And it started out, I think I was talking to Patty yesterday morning when we had coffee with Mom. It started out that we found out now they did tell us ahead of time, and anybody that's bought in a home knows this part, like, you know, you pay for inspection, and that was out of pocket, and that was fine. We paid for that. Well, when she explained all that to us, she never said, and then the appraisal fees on you, because honestly, when we bought our houses before, I don't ever remember out of pocket for the appraisal. I remember either the seller lumped it in with their thing because they were going to pay for it to make the deal more appealing, or
the buying agent,
or it was in in
part of the escrow.
Yeah, exactly. So then they're saying, okay, well, the company that's appraising charges $550. And so I was like, okay, well, that is an unexpected expense. And I wish that was brought to our attention earlier. I mean, I have it. I'm just trying to make a point. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to pay it, obviously. But I was just trying to make a point. Like, this wasn't brought to our attention earlier. Why isn't it the close of escrow? Why isn't it coming out of, you know, whatever. And he kept telling me that I have never in my life, after 45 years, ever had it where the buyer isn't paying for it up front. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if mobile homes or sales are different than homes, but I have, in the 2 homes we bought, I did not have to buy it or do this up front. Anyway,
we bought 4 or 5 homes. I don't remember. I just don't remember. I couldn't tell you. Yeah.
I definitely, especially when we bought our first home, would have remembered what was coming out of pocket first, because that was our first stretch to buy that first home. And it was like, can we do this? Can we not do this? Oh yeah, if we budget this and we do that. I would have remembered if they said, okay, now you have to pay for the appraisal. Like, I totally would have remembered. And then knowing what they did cover in that home when we went on to the other house, there wasn't any, I don't even think we paid for the inspection out of pocket. I don't remember anything up front. I remember it all being at the close of escrow, if you will. Or the buyer or the seller, because he wanted to make it an appealing purchase.
Right. He just didn't want to,
eat it. They do it or whatever. So that was the first little obstacle. And then, which is fine. It just was frustrating. And then we get an email from the realtor, and she says, well, obviously we're not going to close on the 25th or 26th as we originally had it scheduled for. We're going to have to move it into May. And I said, May what? Like, they're talking the second week in May. And I go, no. I mean, why? Well, because we have to tent for termites. And I go, and you're waiting till the 11th hour to tent for termites? Why weren't we doing this 3 weeks ago? This is a 30-day escrow. Now, here's my frustration. I asked for a 45 to 60-day escrow, and she talked me out of it. And so I said, to give us a cushion for me to let our landlords know when we're going to leave, and coming into this house ahead of time to prepare it to where we want to move in, I would like a cushion I would like a longer escrow so I can have time anyway, it doesn't even matter. And she said, no, I think a 30-day would be fine because we'll close on this day and then you can let your landlord know this day and blah, 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 blah. And so I'm just like, okay, well, now
you're doing basically what you wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
Which you could have planned for.
I could have planned for it. And now it's, you know, Kylie's moving out, we have a day to move her out. And then, so now that's, you know, it's like we planned all this with the day that we thought we were closing. And having a cushion of going into the place for a couple of weeks and do a few things before we actually move over there. So anyway, that was frustrating. So I was very irritated with that. And then the insurance company, the homeowner's insurance thing, they gave us a quote. And then the financial guy came back and said, you can't insure the home for the value. you have to insure it for the loan amount. And I was like, okay, so wait, if our house burns down in a fire, are you going to fix it for the value of the home? Are you going to give me all the money that we're borrowing to buy this home? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so I'm sure you're not going to give us the lender amount of money. You're going to give us the value of the home to repair it. So why are we paying insurance for that much more? Am I making sense?
I don't know if you're making sense. I think I get the general idea, but what is he saying that you're paying insurance for? He's saying you're paying insurance for
the loan amount.
The loan amount. But that means that means that if your house burns down, but there's different kinds of insurance. So what insurance are you talking about?
A homeowner's insurance.
Okay, because fire insurance and homeowner's insurance aren't the same thing.
Okay, I don't know then. Don't ask me that.
Okay.
I just know that when we said we wanted it impounded, I don't want to spend a different amount of money to pay for our, we want it impounded. We want to make our mortgage payment all at the same time with everything.
No, right.
And so I looked for insurance, and this is what she quoted me. And that's when I submitted to them. And they said, well, you need to come back with different figures because you can't do it on that dollar amount. You have to do it on this dollar amount, which was way more. It almost like and the loan amount, meaning like they're talking about with the interest. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
So they're not talking about the value of the house.
The house.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, that doesn't even make sense unless you're going to give me all that money to rebuild my house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everything just kept snowballing. And I actually broke down when I got home from work today and cried because I was like,
why is all this happening?
Why is this all happening?
Yeah.
And then in my mind, I just kept saying, okay, I can only control what I can control. I have to let this other stuff go and let the chips fall where they may while I'm still trying to do my part in doing what I want is what is best for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to just sit there going, okay, wash my hands. You guys take care of it. Let me know what we do. Let me know what we owe. So I'm just a little frustrated because it's pushed days back. It looks like more money out of pocket, and it looks like more money per
for the
month.
Mortgage.
Yeah.
Than what you're planning.
Right. And so, anyway, so this whole topic is basically to say that a reminder to everyone else listening and myself that we can only control how we react to it. And when I started thinking about that, and I kind of broke down because I had a conversation with the insurance agent on my way home from work. So this is when she was chatting to me about this, that, and the other. And I got home and I kind of broke down and I was just like, what? I want this to be over. I know this is a process. I realize it, but now it's an extended process and now there's more obstacles. And, but then I reminded myself, okay, I can only control what I control. And what can I do to get through these moments where I feel like I'm out of control? So I kind of did a little bit of like digging, and this is what I've been doing. So one of the things that I didn't come up with, one of it was breathe deeply.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did to myself. Once I got home and I started crying, I'm like, it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. Let it out. Then I took a few big, huge, deep breaths and just like, okay, I feel better. I felt like I was refreshed, if you will. Like I let that frustration go.
Yeah.
And then the breathing helps so much. And so when I pulled this up and saw this, I was like, okay, I did that. I'm good. I did that. And then accept what is. So I did tell myself I'm accepting this and I just have to only control what I can control. And I'm going to elaborate on that part in a minute, but focus on my response. And I actually, because when I talked to the lender guy, I was very, very stern and my approach with him. And that's not usually how I am. And again, I wasn't rude and I wasn't mean, but I did feel badly. Like that's not usually how I talk to people, you know? So I did, I didn't want to talk to him, but I emailed him and just apologized for how I was speaking to him. I obviously you can hear my frustration, but, I wanted to apologize because it's just usually not my nature to talk like that. So anyway, and he was very nice in responding. Like, I understand, I completely understand your frustration. This is a lot to take in the last 24 hours. So, that was good. But, this one said release blame. Now I'm not sure if I'm feeling any blame, but I mean, I would imagine that if you can't control something, maybe there is something in there that you feel that you.
Some people are going to, so there's two ways to react to things. Some people react to things in a very, like it must be me. And then other people react that it must be the other person. And so there's like a pendulum, and often people go to one or the other. And so releasing blame is probably the idea of blame might even have to do with shame. You know, it's like the idea that I'm shameful. You know, it's, I'm frustrated I didn't know this. I'm frustrated I didn't, maybe I should have researched this more or understood it more, or how come I don't know it? And so people could start blaming
well,
them.
and it does say release the blame, forgives and sets you free. So yeah, blaming them for maybe not coming, because there was another thing with the realtor that I'm not going to get into, but that happened yesterday as well, where she was saying, oh, I told you this. And I forgot exactly what it was at the moment, but I just remember going, no, you didn't. And I even asked Peter, I go, do you recall? And I didn't tell her exactly what she said. All I asked him was, do you recall that conversation when we sat at the table? He goes, yeah. The one where I know. Okay. He goes, yeah. The one where she told us that the inspection was on our dime and blah, 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 blah. And I go, yeah, exactly. Is that all you remember about it? He goes, yeah, pretty much. I said, did she talk about the appraisal being on our dime up front? No. And so, you know, there was that. And so that I was like, okay, good. Because I don't remember that either. So part of me was like blaming her for not being upfront with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I didn't, when I say blaming her in my mind, I didn't blame her personally, but, so there was that, but, what was the other thing real quick? And then shift your focus, pour your energy into what you can control. And so I thought that was a good reminder, because I was on my way over here and I was like, I always like chatting. And, so it was it did give me that shift, you know?
Yeah.
And I even thought about like, yesterday, as you know, it was Mom's birthday. So yesterday we went to Nicole's house, and this was after a conversation with the lender guy. So I was already kind of frustrated with that, anyway, so we go to Nicole's, and, you know, I'm watching Mom and Marley blowing out candles, and they're so cute together. And then Nicole's like, can you believe it? They're 79 years apart, or whatever it was, born on the same day. But, you know, and I'm like, God, I'm so lucky. You know, I have my mom and her great grandma sitting there. They're on the same day blowing out birthday candles together, you know, and to me, it was like, you know, focus on the positives right now. You know, this is a rough road for us right now, just because there's like hiccups, but it'll all even out and eventually be like, oh gosh, remember we went through that, you know, and that kind of thing.
Well, this too shall pass, right? And, you're old enough to like believe that, because it does, because things, you know, in the moment things seem really, really bad. And then we go, okay, it ultimately will pass. So I am curious though, because you guys are pretty excited about moving and pretty excited about having it. Did it kind of spoil that for you guys, or how are you and Peter doing regarding it?
We're great. We're fine. 100%. Yeah, we're fine. And you know what the interesting part about it is, that we both ground each other when we need it. You know, when one seems like it's a little like, I have so much to do, I gotta, you know, and then I can ground him, and vice versa. When I'm like, he's like, okay, just sit down. Oh, because we had to fill out a bunch of paperwork too after we got home from Nicole's, and he's like, okay, let me help. Like, okay, what do you need? You know what I mean? And so I feel like we both know when the other person needs that, like, okay, we got this. Let me just walk you through it a little bit, you know? So we're fine. And in all honesty, you know, I'm excited. I'm very excited. I just know that we have to get through this part, which is, you know, I guess it could be, I was talking to somebody at work about it, a hiccup for a lot of people. I just feel like my transactions with the two houses that we did get were pretty seamless. And this is the other thing I was talking to the lender guy about. When we bought our houses, we went in, right? And you go in, you talk to the escrow person, they have you sign the documents. You're there for what, an hour, maybe two. I don't remember exactly, but you're there for a while signing a bunch of stuff. And it's all like in black and white. This has been back and forth email, DocuSign, this, that, and the other. Oh, let me rephrase. Let me configure. I don't remember the word, but now you need to sign it. Now you need to send it back. Can you email it me? Can you fax it? I'm like, I don't like all this. Like, I want to go in, sit down, sign it, be done. Like, it just does a lot of like back and forth. And, half the time I can't even figure out how to DocuSign. And so, but and so, okay. So here's the thing, control what we can control and let go what you can't control.
Right.
I got on the phone on the way here, with the insurance agency, and I said, here's my thing. And cause she said, I want to work with you. I want to figure this out if we can do it. And I said, here's my thing. I understand that it's more money than you quoted us per month for insurance. What can we do to possibly bring it down? Like, I know after the appraisal on Monday, they are going to try to get us a quote too. But I like this girl. She's been great, and so she's like, well, I can figure out if there's any like, I forgot the word she used, like talking about the smoke detectors now. Give you
so like little tiny benefits
and then see if it'll bring it down, So she called me back, it didn't take her very long at all. This was after work. And then on the way back called her and she said, I worked the figures. I could probably bring it down another $25 a month. And I could even bring it down further if you do your cars with us. And so I was like, and in actuality, the amount that she said after $25 bring it down, it was like very close to what she had quoted us in the first place. So I was like even happy with that. And I'm like, oh, and Peter did mention that. Why don't we put our cars there? So we're all at the same place. And I'm like, okay. So then she said she could. So now it sounds like we might get the insurance for the actual house lower than the original quote if we put our cars there as well. But the car quote has to be
I was going to say
what we have.
But the car quote is $1,000 more. Yeah, no. I see.
But I mean, in my mind, I was just like going, see, control what you control. You got to let things go, but you also kind of gonna keep working at things too.
Yeah.
You can't just wash your hands and go, okay, just.
Well, another thing that's interesting is, I've said this saying many times on this podcast, and I'm going to say it again, and it kind of happened to you. You didn't do it intentionally, but it was what it was. Expectations are resentments under construction. Mm-hmm. And so what happened is that there was an expectation, you probably were expecting this is going to have hiccups, but then it wasn't. It was going so good. So then you were like, oh, we're going to have smooth sailing. It's going to be great. And that's the expectation.
Sure.
And then it doesn't go as planned. Now, granted, the other thing is that, it sounds like there was some either miscommunication or bad communication or just total wrong communication or perhaps even deceit, who knows.
Sure.
But ultimately the point is that when we expect things to go a certain way and it doesn't, my father-in-law always says someone's blocking my goal. And so it's like, that's when you get angry, right? Is when someone's blocking your goal. And your goal was this was going to be done at a certain time and we were going to be able to do X and we were going to be able to do Y and this was going to, be blah, 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 blah. And now it's like, it's not going to go that way.
But you're actually right, because I did, thought, okay, well, I know not everything runs really smoothly. So there's probably going to be some hiccups along the way, but I felt like I didn't expect it at the 11th hour.
Yeah.
And had we,
relatively big hiccups, because changing the date by a couple of weeks is quite a bit. That's right. Very different.
And then when she said, okay, we have to have somebody come tent the house next week, I'm like, why are we waiting for the termite inspection a week before escrow closes? Yeah. And now you got to tent the place for 3 days. Clearly we're not going to be able to get in there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then now they said we can't tent until the girl goes.
Although if you've ever seen Breaking Bad, you could do all the work in there while it's being tented.
That's true. No, but also too, they can't tent. They have to wait till the girl goes in and appraises on Monday. So they have to wait till like Tuesday. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why are we doing all this at the last minute? Why didn't we think of this, a while ago, you know? So I think that's where the frustration really is. It's not so much that we didn't expect things to not always run perfectly smoothly. It's more like, why are we addressing all this at the very end of the day?
And the fact that you wanted originally a certain thing, and she's like, no, we could get this done. And then it's like, oh, so now it's exactly what I said in the first place.
Right. And asking you guys to help move. And it's like,
oh yeah. So what does that do?
I mean, it's going to still be, we're still going to move on the 10th, even if escrow closes on the 9th. I mean, we both just said, that's when we told the landlord we're going, and we're going to, just have to make it work. Yeah, exactly. So, we're going to have to do that. But, But she did say, at the end of it all, in fact, again, this is all happening before I come to your house. She did send a text and say, this is I sent you the new thing to sign for the May 7th. I think she said May 7th or 8th. Closing. And I said, can we just push it up so that we have that weekend before? She goes, well, I have to leave it there. I have to draw you have to sign it because it's already on contract. And then we have to but she goes, but that doesn't mean we have to close that day. But if we can close sooner, then let's shoot for the 30th, and I'm like, oh, that would be great if we could do that. So it's not like, okay, we have to close on the 7th.
Because you guys have a goal of painting and taking things out and fixing things, whereas it's going to be way more complicated with all your furniture there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still doable. I mean, obviously the place in itself is going to be a work in progress. So it's going to be fine if we have to do it while we're in there. Yeah. But it would have been nice to have a little bit of cushion.
Yeah, that's a bummer. It really is a bummer. I don't remember when we bought this place if we had major hiccups, did we? I don't recall. Our story of moving in here was a major hiccup, but because we looked at this place and then and we put a bid on it, and it was rejected. And we had looked at so many places and put bids on it, and this was in the season of everybody offering $20,000 to $30,000 to even $50,000 over asking. Right. And we weren't ever doing that. Right. And so we were always, matter of fact, I remember joking. Yeah. I didn't joke. I remember saying to our realtor, I said, well, should we at least ask for 10,000 less? He goes, oh, no. He goes, if you don't ask for it, offer at least the offer,
asking price.
The asking price, you're not getting it. Because he goes, most people are going to get or offer something else. Right. And so anyway, this was really one of the only places that we really, really liked. And then we saw other places that we kind of liked, and they were good enough, put bids on them. One of them we really did like, but we thought we're never going to get it, and we didn't. And then we finally decided we're going to rent. So we finally decided we're going to rent, and we were literally driving to drop off the check to the people who were waiting in the apartment that we were going to rent, and we were literally driving there.
Oh, I don't know this story.
Oh yeah, and we were a mile away or less than a mile away from half a mile away from the place, and we get a call from the realtor saying, "Hey, do you remember that place?
Oh my gosh,
it fell through, and they're offering it to you. Do you want it?" And so we're in the car with the check and literally go, yeah.
Oh God! Imagine if you had signed the lease.
And so then, and then we called the people because we had already told them we're driving there, the whole thing, and we said we literally just got this call. They were totally fine. They said, "No, I'm happy for you guys," and that was that. Yeah. But but I do remember also going, them doing the what's that called? The
inspection?
Inspection. The funny thing about the inspection, you've heard me say this?
I don't know.
Oh, well, the guy was walking through, and they have a paper that has all the little check boxes, right? And so he's walking through and doing all the check, and then he walks in the kitchen and he goes,
"Oh, the dishwasher."
He goes, "I don't have to check the dishwasher. You don't have one." And Patty and I looked at each other and go, "We don't have a dishwasher." And so we were totally...
Okay, so we don't have a dishwasher either.
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
Yeah. Well, no, it isn't, because we've been living like this for a very long time without a dishwasher.
Well, you know what's funny is, it's kind of funny because Peter's like, well, we'll buy one of those little portable ones, or we'll put one under the cabinet over here, or whatever. And so I'm like, you know what? The funny thing is I wash my dishes pretty much. Anyway, I like that you can, because I pretty much wash them and then stick them in the dishwasher. And I just like that they're in the dishwasher hidden. They're not like in a dish rack or what have you, you know? Right. But so that's my thing, why I like the dishwasher. But I do pretty much wash my dishes. So it's not going to be and it's only Peter and I. So
we lived in Ecuador, we had a dishwasher for a while because we had a housekeeper person. And so we had that. But otherwise we've been washing dishes forever. And then we moved here, and so it was like, well, we don't mind. You
could put one in.
No, we can't.
Oh, you can't?
Well, we could, but it would really radically change everything. So no, it would be radically different. And if we wanted to cover the window, we'd have to move the refrigerator, and it would actually cover the window.
Why couldn't you just take out the cabinet to the left of the sink?
Well, that's what I mean by it would cover. It would take away a ton of storage.
Storage, yeah.
We don't have very much. Yeah. So that's the thing.
You
would have to do.
You have 10 times more than we do.
But we would have to do major. It would be the work isn't the problem. It would take away a lot of storage.
Yeah.
And we've just never cared.
Yeah.
We're just like, it is what it is. So, I mean, when we have big groups, thankfully we have a nice family and everybody kind of chips in and we get the dishes done in 15, 20 minutes or something like that. And when we don't have big groups, it's just me and Patty.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Yeah.
And when Trinity was here, she washed them. So we did have a dishwasher.
Yeah.
It was Trinity. Well, are you at a point now where you're feeling like, I mean, it sounds like you're saying I'm feeling good. I'm getting over it. You know, another thing I encourage people to do too, that is to write about it. To physically write about it, like write a letter to the person that you don't send.
Yeah.
Because a big thing is about getting it out of your head. For most people, when they're dealing with stuff like this, the problem is that it's, well, among many, one of them is that it's stuck in your head. And you mentioned something, I can't remember how you said it, but it gets stuck in your head and it bounces around and it's just so frustrating and it creates anxiety and it's like, I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about why it's unjust. It feels like an injustice and it's like, you told me this and then this and then blah, blah, blah. And it's like, keeps going. And something about writing down your feelings and your emotions, it gets it out of the head. So now you can look at it objectively as opposed to it bouncing around.
Yeah. For sure.
So,
I love to write stuff down.
Yeah. So that's a big deal for me. I remember saying to someone about journaling and then they said, oh, I just don't like reading what I say. And I said, well, you don't have to read it. It's not about,
it's just getting it out of your head.
It's getting it out of your head. That's the key
like
thing.
we talk about always writing lists, all the lists, things that you have to do,
right.
Just getting it out on paper just helps free up your mind. And so, I do feel like that would help too.
But writing resentments down, writing injustices down, writing feelings down, because even looking at your feelings, there's nothing wrong with feelings, but even looking at them objectively versus that feeling being in your head can really change how you perceive whatever the circumstances. So,
it's funny because Mom had that whole, whether you guys heard her conversation last week or you're going to hear it next week, but Mom was talking about, a lot about her faith and all that stuff. And it's very interesting because I did ask God today, like, okay, what are you trying to teach me? Like, honestly, what is it that you are trying to teach me? And so it's very interesting how he spoke to me because I opened up, I didn't read I read this little devotion thing every morning and I didn't read it this morning. And so I thought, oh, I'll open it up right now. Or when I got home from work, I was like, I'm going to open this up and see. And it was talking about patience. And it was, it was just very interesting because I'm like, okay, that's fair enough. I just, I feel like I have a lot of patience until my patience is tested. You know what I mean?
Well, of course we do, right? I mean, I think it's always so funny. Well, there's a couple things about that, but one thing about patience, for instance, is it's like people ask, it's like the worst prayer you could ever ask for. I really want to be more patient, because what you're really asking for then is, I'm going to then provide opportunities for you to be patient, and which means I'm going to provide opportunities for you to be waiting in long lines or to have certain things happen that are going to be frustrating. And so it's kind of like, and then the other thing that I've talked about this before, and so maybe I'm going to be, I think I have talked about this before, but patience is one of the when they talk about the fruit of the Spirit, it says love, joy, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and self-control. And so the idea is these things are what represents like the fruit of somebody who is connected to God, to your higher power, however you guys want to look at it if you're a listener. So the point is that if you're connected to that in a Christian sense, though, it's saying I'm connected to God through Jesus. I'm connected in this relationship. When I'm connected with him, then it produces a certain type of fruit. That's what it does. And I always find it interesting because people will teach on the individual aspects of the fruit. And that's not how it works. The way it works is it's if you're connected to God, then you automatically produce this. It's like this is a byproduct of being connected. It's not something we work towards.
Right.
So it's the same thing, you like to talk about food. And so, well, I guess we all do, right? But the truth of the matter is that the body that looks better and feels better isn't something you kind of work toward. What you're really working toward is you have to change your diet. And what I mean by diet is
and
your
then the
actual way
body's
you
the
eat.
product of the things that you do.
Thing that
Yeah,
you did.
yeah.
So if you just said, I want muscle, I want muscles, and you just focused on it, but you didn't do the food and you didn't do all that other stuff, well, you're still going to be out of shape.
Right.
And so it's like when you do the actions, then you get to, you get the results of the other thing. And it's the same thing with our relationship. When you're connected to God, when you're really tied into him and you're really listening. And when I say listening, it just means I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you get to participate in those fruits.
Right.
And so I love it when I hear Mom and what I'm hearing you say, but it's like the idea is that when we continually just feed ourselves rightly, I had a client, I want to be careful not to give too much, but I had a client, and the long and the short of it, what was interesting is that this client likes to listen to music that sometimes for me isn't really positive, and yet they're dealing, but it sounds good, but the words aren't great, in terms of lifting up. And I'm always just like, let's look. And so I put some songs on, literally as part of what we did is just, let's listen to the happy song. You remember that, I'm happy. What's it called? The
actual song that
the
says
actual
that?
song.
Don't
it's
worry,
called,
be happy? Or
is the one, because I'm happy.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it's like, and it has very positive, cool words. There's a Katy Perry song I looked up. What's it called? What is she? Roar. Roar. Because it talks about empowering a person and them having the power to be able to do things and not hear what other people might be saying about you and being, and I'm like, the more you allow yourself to focus on these kind of lyrics and these kind of things, this is when we start change. Because you also said, what can I do right now? And you said, change your perspective. And one of the things that I was going to say about changing your perspective is simply say a gratitude. What am I grateful for?
For sure.
What am I grateful for?
Yeah.
And moving on.
No, that's very true. And that is, I am very grateful that we are able to do this. I am very grateful that it all fell seamlessly into our lap in the very beginning. It was like, wow, the timing worked out perfect. Oh, wow, Kylie found an apartment. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Everything's just like, ticking like clockwork. And then it didn't. You know?
And then it didn't. That's
but
so
also,
funny.
it's funny too, because just, talking about positives, we got a call today from the gym that is up the street from the house. And we were going to obviously try it out once we got up there. We got a free week, and then we were going to decide whether we would go there or stay at UFC. And so he goes, I just want to let you know there's this promo, and it's, anyway, the long and short of it is that it's a really good deal. And we're like, oh, well, there you go. So
that kind of
we're
answers
actually,
that.
so we're actually going to go work out there in the morning. But it was like, okay, well, look, that's a really good positive for all the stuff that's happening, not so positively right now, So,
well, that's cool.
Anyway,
well,
so
thank
I
you
know
for
that's
being
just
so vulnerable, because that was a lot to share.
I know, and I'm sorry.
And it was really fresh. So it's not even like you're talking about, you're still dealing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And will we?
Yeah, I guess so.
Stay tuned for part 2.
Yes. Yeah. If she's still in the same house, she might not. She might be listening to this podcast in order to be able to cope.
Right.
Yeah. No. Well, thank you so much.
Anyway, thank you, listeners, for listening.
Yeah.
And I fully, 100%, wholeheartedly think that we have to only let go of the control that we don't have control of, and take
serenity
control
prayer.
100%.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can,
and the wisdom to know the difference,
which is the hardest part.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Well, all right, you guys. Well, we are at wholehearted_living_podcast on Instagram, and you can find us, listen to us on Spotify, and watch us on YouTube.
And listen.
And you can listen too.
You can do both.
Or you could just watch and mute.
Yeah. And we'd love to hear from you. Make a comment. Let us know what you guys are thinking, what you'd like to hear. That would be wonderful. Thank you, Valerie. And thank you, listeners. Thank you, Iggy, for keeping us in sound.
Thank you, Iggy. Whee! And the crowd goes wild.
Okay.
All right, you guys. We will chat with you later. Bye.
Ciao.